What's up, world? Welcome to the Hussle and Motivate podcast. If you're searching for your purpose, trying to overcome a drug addiction, in debt, or have massive dreams, but don't know where to begin, lost in life, and want to make a change for the better, then this podcast is for you. Buckle up and let the motivation begin. Here is your host, Luke Mind Power.
What's up, everybody? This is Luke Mind Power, episode number 3. It's so great to be back again. I am actually streaming through Facebook Live as well, which is so awesome. I'm able to connect with so many people, but thank you for tuning in wherever you are around the world. Another day, another blessing. And if you're driving in your car, if you're on the train to work, or you're going for a run, turn your speakers up and get ready for some amazing wisdom. So I'm going to just go through some really amazing quotes that, along my journey, evolving and growing. And one thing that I've really connected with, and I was connecting with quotes for a long time before I actually started speaking. But I never knew, that the full understanding and the full meaning. I think that we tend to definitely read a lot of quotes. I mean, it's, technology these days and everything is on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and a lot of people post, certain quotes. And how many times have you looked at a quote, you've read it, and you're like, yeah, man, that makes so much sense. I get that. But how many times have you actually followed through with something that it said, or actually really understood what it meant? And now that I'm living this life of I'm very open-minded, I'm very conscious, I'm very self-aware, I'm very driven, I'm doing, what is completely in my priority and what's best for me. And when you read these quotes and you're living and breathing that, entrepreneurial, envisioning your dreams and chasing your dreams and everything like that, you actually start to connect more with these quotes, and it starts to actually make sense, So the first one I'm going to go through is, no matter what your current circumstances are, if you can imagine something better for yourself, you can create it. And that's so powerful. It is so true, because I think about my circumstances of, being in debt at 27, $80,000 in debt, And that was a tough circumstance, because that really stuffed me up with my ability and freedom with a lot of my friends who were doing the whole Euro trip, and they were traveling overseas, and I couldn't do that because I was into gambling at the same time. I would work, and then every Friday we'd be at the pub losing our money on the poker machines or the slot machines. And so that was a difficult circumstance for me, because it's so hard to get out of debt when you get into debt. I never understood the value of money, how to save money, what it meant. My first car was a personal loan from the bank, so I was already in default at 18 years old. And I guess that circumstance now has taught me, at 34 years old, the value of money, and what not to do for the future. So if you came to me and asked me if I want to get a loan from the bank, I'll tell you to screw yourself, because I'm not interested. But yeah, whatever your circumstance, it could be, a divorce, it could be domestic violence, it could be, depression or whatever. But you can imagine something, but if you can imagine something better for yourself, you can create it. And that's how I connect with my mind power, because I envision what I want to create. I envision my dreams. I envision my future. I envision where I see myself in 5 to 10 years time. I envision myself speaking on stage with Tony Robbins, with Dean Graziosi, with Ed Milet. I envision myself being interviewed by these millionaires and these really successful people. And it really takes your belief within yourself to understand that you have to trust the process, and you have to actually execute and be the captain of your destiny, because you're the only one that can create your dreams and push yourself in that direction. So the next one is an interesting one. It's me, I'm lost, but my higher self, no, you're evolving, so your surroundings are going to seem unfamiliar. And I'll just say that again. I'm lost, which is me. I'm saying I'm lost, but your higher self, which is the person that you want to become, the person you see in your dreams, like the person that you know, in 10 or 15 years time, if you followed your dreams and you pushed yourself and you wanted, you know, whatever you're sitting in your life right now, and in your mind, you're like, man, I wish I had that mansion. I wish I drove that Ferrari. I wish I could travel the world. I wish I had a better job. That person, that's your higher self. And so if you're thinking to yourself right now that you're lost, your higher self is saying, no, you're evolving. So your surroundings are going to seem unfamiliar. And this is the thing that I deal with on a daily basis, because I'm continuously, consciously growing, evolving, consuming information that's allowing me to learn from. I'm watching and listening to podcasts all the time when I'm driving, and so I'm always evolving. But what I actually have to go through, for example, podcasts, never done it before, get nervous when I start. I screwed up last week. It's unfamiliar. So your body has this reaction where it's like, hey, hang on a second. I haven't done this before. This is unfamiliar. And it creates this fear. It creates your heart rate to go up, and it makes you feel uncomfortable. And that's a lot of the times in whatever we're trying to achieve in life, that's why we don't go for it, because we're afraid. You know, it's that getting out of your comfort zone. That's the biggest problem. And I dealt with it for so long. I dealt with it. You know, the biggest thing for me was speaking. Like, I didn't want to sit in a boardroom and speak around, you know, 5 or 6 people. I never wanted to get up in front of people and speak. Why? Because it's unfamiliar. It's something that I've never practiced. It's something that I never knew I could grow into. You know, and repetition is the mother of skill. Tony Robbins, that's one of my favorite quotes, because I live and breathe that. Repeat, 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 repeat. Keep doing something over and over and over and over again, and you get better and better and better and better. You know what I mean? Like, it seems pretty logical, you know? And so I love that. So yeah, it's you're evolving. Understand that you're growing, and when you're growing, then things are a bit unfamiliar because you haven't been there before. You know, you haven't done it before. It's like me staying in a hostel. I used to stay in hotels all the time because I'm so introverted and I don't like to share my space. But all of a sudden now I'm going and I'm staying, when I go overseas, I stay in hostels because I'm like, you know what? It's uncomfortable. It's unfamiliar. It's out of my comfort zone. I'm going to push myself to do things that I've never done before. And you know, there are many people out there that have stayed in hostels that they do it all the time and it's normal, right? But for me, it's not normal. It's out of my comfort zone, and I've gotten addicted to getting out of my comfort zone because I've learned that the more that I push myself, the more that I do things that I'm not comfortable with, that I'm it's out of my comfort zone, the more that I grow. The more that I grow in confidence, the more that I grow in belief of who I am and that I can do absolutely anything I put my mind to or anything that I believe in. So that's a great tip for you today. Do something that you've never done before. Get out of your comfort zone, because it's such a great, gratifying feeling when you do things that you never thought you could do or never thought you would do. So moving on to the next one that I've got here. You don't have to go to university at 18, or get a job at 21, or buy a house at 25, or get married at 30, or have kids at 35. Everyone is different, and your path to happiness will be too. And that's a quote from Stephen Bartlett. I follow him on Instagram. I'll read that again. You don't have to go to university at 18, or get a job at 21, or buy a house at 25, or get married at 30, or have kids at 35. Everyone is different, and your path to happiness will be too. I love it. And I know that I'm on the other side of the fence. I'm 34 years old. I'm single. I'm chasing my dreams. I don't have a mortgage. I don't have kids. That part of my journey has not happened. And there's a reason for that. But the reason why I connect with it so much, and I'm not putting out this message to people in a negative way who are married or who do have kids or who do have a mortgage. Again, everybody's path and everybody's journey is different. Stay in your lane. But the reason why I connect so deeply with that is because I felt the pressure. I was that guy at 18 who finished school and had no idea what he wanted to do. I sometimes even felt that, like, some of my marks, like every time I did a test and I got the results, it was 50%. I was like, geez, I never fail, but I never really pass. Like, it's always 50%, you know? It's like maybe the teachers were just marking me 50% so I didn't look like a failure. I didn't feel bad, you know? But I didn't like school. I did not like school. I was always in trouble. I was stealing phones from the back of the room and getting in on detention, and I got suspended one time as well. But I just found it really hard to concentrate, and school just wasn't for me. Like, if I had an assignment, I remember the assignment, I'd bring it home, and then when it was due, that's the night just before the due date, I'd be doing it, because I'd be like, oh, I need to do it. I haven't done it, you know? So that's and when you finish school and most of your friends go to university and you don't, and you have no idea what you want to do, but everybody else somehow has a plan. Oh, I want to be an engineer, or I want to be a doctor or a architect. It's like, man, how the fuck do you know? How do you know what you want to do when you're 18? And I guess some people are just, slotted into this direction. Maybe they're guided by their parents. They're like, yeah, you'd be good at this, you should do it. But yeah, I never connected with it, and there's a reason for that. Again, buying a house at 21, getting a job at 21, buying a house at 25. I still don't have a house. And do I feel bad because a lot of people that I know have investment properties or own a house? Absolutely not. I couldn't give a shit. I don't want to pay money and mortgage to the bank for the next 30 years. I'd rather work hard for the next 10 years and then be able to just go, yeah, here's $2 million. I'll have that house, please. That's my mindset. That's the way that I think, and that's what I believe in, and that's what my mission is. I'll buy a house with my own money. I'm not going to be giving money to the bank, but it's hard because, we're living in this society where, buying a house and investing in property is probably one of the safest things you could do because, over 10 years or 20 years, you make money. It's a lifestyle. I get it. And I'm not trying to discourage anyone who has investment properties or who has houses that on a mortgage and you're paying the mortgage off. But again, everybody's different. Own your path. Getting married. Well, this was a huge one for me. I'm the youngest of 3 sisters, and at 27 years old, this is where I was getting smashed. Like, I had my grandmother saying, Luke, when are you getting married? Hurry up, you're getting old. And then I had my dad. Every time I saw my dad when I was 27 years old, he'd be saying, like, come on, what are you doing? You got to get married. Like, you're getting old. It's time, And the pressure was on because all of my sisters were married, and they got 10 kids between them, So being a 27-year-old male, and just the culture of what's expected of you, the family's waiting. The family wants you to get married. They want to see you happy. They want your happiness, and that's beautiful. But it wasn't my time, But funny enough, at that age, 27, I met this beautiful girl and I nearly did get married, but it didn't work. And that was painful, but I had to go through that situation, So if I can say anything positive to anyone out there who is in their 30s, early 30s, or even in their late 20s, man, take this time. If you are single, the best thing about being single is that you can spend time with yourself. You can invest in yourself. You can become the best version of yourself. It is probably one of the most, I can't even speak like that because I haven't had this experience, but I believe that when you invest in yourself and you work on yourself continuously and you grow and you want to be the best version of yourself, you are going to attract somebody who is also vibrating on your frequency and holds that same energy as you. And when you do, that's going to be one of the most powerful experiences and relationships that you're going to be in. And so, do I think about being in a relationship right now? No, but don't feel the pressure of feeling that because you're 33 or 34 that you're running out of time. Actually owning the fact that you're single, living in solitude has absolutely transformed my life. And it's probably one of the best things that I did was to, let go of past relationships and emotions and feelings, and knowing that they served their purpose. I'm so grateful for all of my previous relationships that I had. They taught me so much. And now I understand my value. Now I understand what it means to invest in myself. And that means to love myself. That means to make myself the person that I'm supposed to be. And it's a beautiful feeling. So anyone who's out there that thinks that their time is running out, please, man, especially if you're 30, like the world is out here waiting for you to evolve, to grow, and to be the best that you can be. And if you can actually just stop and get rid of all the noise and just listen to your soul and follow your soul, because it knows the way and it speaks to you, because you can feel that. You know what's right for you. Then I'm telling you, I promise you, that your life will start to transform when you start to listen to yourself and stop listening to all the noise around you, because it gets hard. You get all these people around you that are in relationships, that are getting married, that are doing all these different things, and here you are thinking to yourself, I'm not good enough. What's wrong with me? Why can't I find the right person? And it's for me, being the youngest of 3 sisters, man, that was hard. How many times I went to all these birthdays and family functions and I would be asked, oh, have you got a girlfriend yet? When are you going to get married? Fuck, that used to piss me off. That was the worst. Like, I hated it, to be in an environment where you're around all these people who are in relationships. How are these people having children? All these people buying mortgages and living that life of expectancy to do what everybody else is doing. So freaking annoying. It was tough. But now I know the reason why I had to go through that. I had to learn my self-worth. I had to, feel that experience of people projecting their opinions onto me, and me knowing that that was not for me, and so anyway, I've moved forward from there, and investing in myself and living in solitude has absolutely transformed my life. So yeah, even if you just broke up with someone and you're thinking, oh shit, now I've got to find someone else, don't worry about finding someone else. Give yourself a break. Give yourself 6 months, give yourself 12 months. Focus on you. Love you. Invest in you. Do things that you've never done before. Go and experience life a bit, and stop focusing on trying to have someone give you the love. You give yourself the love. I never understood self-love, but self-love has absolutely transformed my life. So it's an amazing, amazing thing that you can do for yourself. Is to focus inwards instead of always thinking that somebody else is going to make you happy. You need to be happy first. You need to be whole. And having kids, I've got 10 beautiful nieces and nephews, and I'm very blessed. And they're all amazing. They're all very different. I even think to myself, geez, you know what? Maybe it's not for me. Maybe I'm not going to get married. Maybe I'm not going to have kids. I think it's highly unlikely. I think that there's definitely going to be someone out there that I'm going to, that's going to sweep me off my feet, or that I'm going to do that to them. But I'm really not worried about that. I'm just, I'm really passionate about what I'm doing right now, and I know that the universe has everything, has my back, So I believe in that. But definitely, if it's meant to be, children will come into play. But it's a big responsibility, and don't feel pressured that it's a necessity, because I know some people in the past that chose not to have children, and that's okay. It's okay. Like, it's just, again, it's so hard because we're following what everybody else is doing, and when you got people around you that have 3 kids, 4 kids, and everyone that you're around has kids, then it's like, well, when are you going to have children? Oh, we're not sure, and this and that. And it's like, man, just do you and really own your life and what you want. And if you have people around you that don't support you or that are pushing you in a direction that you don't want to go, then you need to disconnect yourself from that environment. I'm telling you, like, the best thing I did was disconnect myself from all of my friends for the last 18 months, right? So that I could be alone, so that I could focus on myself. And look what happened. My life has transformed, absolutely transformed. Why? Because I chose to invest in myself. I chose to go to Chicago for 3 months and be alone. To not have any distractions. I chose to say no to anybody who invites me to their birthday party or their children's birthday party or any functions. Start saying no to everything else and start saying yes to you. And the moment that you do that, the moment you start saying yes to you, man, that's when your life transforms. When you start saying yes to you. And you're listening to the noise. And when you keep listening to the noise around you, outside of you, you get lost. You get lost and you don't know who you are. And I was like that because from, finishing school to 33 years old, that's what I was doing. I was completely lost in this world. But you know what? Maybe I wouldn't say it lost. It was just an experience. It was an experience that I had to go through in order for me to learn and understand life. But yeah, everyone is different and your path to happiness will be too. Sometimes what you are most afraid of doing is the very thing that will set you free. And so the thing that I was most afraid of doing was being seen. The thing that I was most afraid of doing was standing up in front of people. The thing that I was most afraid of doing was just being me and not being judged or my perception of what people thought of me. Sometimes what you are most afraid of doing is the very thing that will set you free. And I think this is a fear for a lot of people. Public speaking, standing up in front of a crowd, just being you, being authentic, speaking your truth and not giving a shit about what anyone thinks about you. And, I remember this, classic example, working for a government department as a driver tester, and I'm in a boardroom with 8 other people, and the facilitator or person in charge would start the meeting and they'd say, okay, welcome everybody. Before we go ahead, how about we go around the room and introduce ourselves? And with just a small setting like that, with say 6 or 8 people, as soon as that person would say that, let's go around the room and introduce ourselves, my body would react in such a negative way. My heart rate would increase. I'd be nervous. I'd be getting sweaty palms. And I'd be tense, waiting for that next person to finish and then for me to actually introduce myself. I'd be afraid to do that. And I think about it now and I'm just like, why was I so afraid to be me? Why was I so afraid to just speak and just tell people my name and who I am and where I come from or where I live or what jobs I've had in the past or how long I've been a driver tester for? And that was something for me that just stands out because I never believed that I could be more than a driver tester, a driving examiner, someone who takes out people and does the exam for them to get their license. And I was questioning my life for such a long time. And I always knew that I had this fear of, confrontation, this fear of, standing up and being the dominant figure or being that person that's telling people a certain thing. And, I remember having a couple of people say to me while I was working in that position, hey, you'd be a really good manager, or you'd be a really good supervisor. Maybe that was more so about my physical appearance, the fact that I'm 188 centimeters tall, so 6'2". And so you would look at me and you would think, oh yeah, he's pretty big or tall. So yeah, he can manage it, right? But I'm so introverted. I had such a low self-esteem. I had really low self-confidence. I was so self-conscious about my physical appearance, and it really, really stunted my evolution of, becoming more. And so I never believed that I could be more than, a government employee. And so sometimes what you are most afraid of doing is the very thing that will set you free. And that thing that I'm doing right now is speaking, standing up in front of people, doing videos and being seen. And I'm loving what I'm doing. It's really my passion. And I never ever knew that I could actually use this gift of communication to make a difference in people's lives. It's really a blessing, and I live every day, and I say it every day, another blessing, and I truly, truly am grateful for life and this process of my journey, because I love what I'm doing. And I have a vision of where I'm going, but if I didn't do this speaking course that I did in September 2018, which got me out of my comfort zone, and I was able to connect with a like-minded community of people on Facebook, and we were basically sending photos back and forth on this Facebook group and then supporting each other. And there was so much love and support and positivity in this group that just built me up so much, and it absolutely changed my life. And I have to say that, on my 33rd birthday, which was nearly 12 months ago, my birthday's coming up now on the 22nd of September. But 1 year ago on that date, I actually stood up in front of my family, my whole family. There was around 25 or 30 of us sitting around. And I actually, for my birthday, I did my first live talk. And I spoke to everybody, and man, I was nervous, but I felt that fear, and I did it anyway. I put that fear on my back like a backpack, and I made it part of my life. I made it my friend, and I'm just consciously very aware now that if something is giving me that feeling of being afraid or making me feel uncomfortable, then I go ahead and I do it anyway. Because every single time you do something that's out of your comfort zone, you grow from it, you learn from it, you become stronger. And it's become a bit of an addiction for me now. So I cannot say no to something that scares me or I feel is out of my comfort zone. But don't ask me to jump out of a plane or do bungee jumping, because that's a different level, and I'm not interested at the moment. So, but other than that, in terms of following your passion or something that you're kind of afraid of doing, it really, really is transformative when you start to believe in yourself and take a bit of action, because I never ever envisioned or believed that I could actually create what I've created. And if you're joining me for the first time, then I'm going to just give you a recap. So I'll just finish off on this last quote, which is, "And in the end, all I learned was how to be strong alone." And again, that's kind of the whole thing about living in solitude, and how, if you are alone at the moment, or if you're not in a relationship, that it is the perfect time for you to invest in yourself. It's the perfect time for you to focus inwards. It's the perfect time for you to actually not be distracted and say yes to you and no to everything else that doesn't serve you. So, this year I went to a conference in March, which was part of the course that I did in September through Mind Valley. And I was able to meet these people that I had shared a whole month with during this speaking course in September. 6 months later, I was able to meet these people in person at this self-development conference in Los Angeles. And it was absolutely incredible. One of the most transformative moments of my life, to be able to connect with these people who had supported me, who had believed in me, and who had given me so much love and admiration for me just posting videos. And so by me doing that, it made me understand that surrounding yourself with the right people and disconnecting yourself from anything that doesn't serve you, or any negativity, or people who don't value you, or people who don't believe in you, or people who just don't understand your vision, your goals, and your dreams, it's probably the most empowering thing that you can do. And that's why I created Dream Chasers. That is the Facebook page that I have, and it's a group, it's a tribe. There's over 200 people in there, and it's just a place where you can go and you can ask a question, you can ask for advice, or you can share your story, and you'll have people in there that will send you love, that will send you support, that will tell you, you know what, you're amazing, you're extraordinary, I believe in you, I think what you're doing is amazing. Because it's so empowering to have people who believe in you on your team, that don't question you at all, that don't think and think, you know what, I don't think you should be doing that. Nah, that's not a good idea. Because you got to remember that when you have a dream, when you have a goal, when you got something in your mind that you envision, that you imagine, and that you're passionate about, you got to understand that other people can't see that. Other people can't see your dream. And that was a battle that I fought when I started transitioning into, this whole speaking passion, because I felt that some people who I was telling about this dream, about this vision that I had, they weren't supporting me the way that I thought they would support me. It wasn't a full 100%, oh yeah, man, like, I love it, bro, go for it, man, I'm so excited for you, man, that's like, if that's your dream, man, I want to see you win, I want to see you succeed. No, it was more questions of, oh yeah, do you really reckon, like, it was just, I could feel the energy. I'm very sensitive, and I'm an empath, and I'm very connected with energy of somebody else. And so you can tell straight away when you're having a conversation with someone whether or not they're on your team or not, or their ego is reacting. And that's a lot of the things that can happen in this process of you actually moving towards your goal or your dreams, is that when you start expressing yourself to someone, if they're stuck in a rut, or if they're living in a stagnant position of life, or they're living a mediocre kind of life, then if you start talking about, in 5 years' time or in 10 years' time, you want to be traveling the world, you want to be speaking to millions of people, you want to be driving a Ferrari, you want to, whatever the hell your definition of success is, if that person's stuck in a rut, or they're in a difficult situation, then their ego may come into place, and then they're not going to support you as you would expect them to. And that's hard, especially when you've known someone for 10 years or 15 years. But you gotta understand sometimes that some people's paths are different, and they can't see your dream, they can't see your vision, and so you gotta be really aware of that other people, this kind of mindset or open-mindedness is not for everyone, and some people just can't fathom that kind of ideology or that kind of thinking. And so that's definitely what I had to go through to get to where I am. But it's funny because it's all about wanting people to believe in you. And because I was so passionate about this whole speaking and doing something that I actually felt connected with, all you want at that point is for people to believe in you. And what I found was that some of the people that you were closest to, you felt that they didn't believe in you. You could feel it. And I won't mention names, but I could feel it. That sometimes it's the people that are the closest to you that don't believe in your dream. And why is that? Because they don't believe that success and greatness could be that close to them. And I truly believe that. I truly believe it. You think about it. Majority of people are living the Monday to Friday grind, been doing it for ages. All of a sudden, this dude comes along who was stuck, who was using cocaine, who was drinking a lot, who had all these relationships that didn't work, who's 34 years old, he's single, all of a sudden he's got this urge to be a speaker, and he starts talking that he wants to be the best motivational speaker in the world. He wants to take over Tony Robbins. He wants to travel the world. He wants to impact millions of people's lives. Like, who the hell does that? All of a sudden, this person, Luke Mind Power, like, who the hell are you, bro? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I did. That's what I started saying, you know? And I didn't never believe that I'd be sitting here doing a podcast in September 2019. Like, I remember the beginning of January, I had a friend of mine reach out, this girl that I met on through social media, and she's like, do you do podcasts? And I'm like, no. Do you do YouTube? I'm like, no. I'm just doing Instagram. Like, I thought Instagram was the thing, and Instagram is, you know, I just owned Instagram. Now I'm everywhere, but I'd never, it's a process, you know, it's a evolution, and, you know, I continue to grow and I continue to push myself in this direction because I love what I do. You know, so it is all believing. It's all about believing in yourself and understanding that the more that you believe in yourself, the more that people will then, some people will keep hating, but eventually when they see your actions, not your words, because actions speak louder than words. A lot of people like to just talk, and then they don't do shit. But your actions is your evidence. And when people see you stand up and speak in front of people, then they're like, wow, this guy's not mucking around. This guy's not talking shit. He's actually doing it. And so what I love about this process of taking action and growing and actually believing in yourself, it has a ripple effect. And it has people then starting to see the actions that you're taking, and then they start to believe in you. And then what happens is they start to believe in you, and then they come and they start to support you more. But then what also happens is the more that I continue to connect with my inner self and be aligned with my, authentic self and be in tune with who I truly, truly am, that gives permission for people to then also be authentic within themselves. And I'm seeing that, right? Because most people are closed. We're afraid, you know? Like, before I was leaving Chicago, the last performance that I wanted to go to this open mic and I wanted to speak, and I was going to sing Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, because I was like, you know what? This loving myself was a major key for my transformation. And when I was doing that speaking course, I had to stand up in the mirror and I had to talk to myself every morning. I had to say 7 things that I was proud of. I had to say 7 things that I forgive myself for. And I had to say 7 things that I'm committed to. And I did that for about 40 days. And that transformed my life. And so by doing that, it really, really made me love myself and believe in myself. And that's what happened with my evolution of moving in that direction. So, being strong alone is very tough, you know, and in the end, all I learned was how to be strong alone. And it's tough because, yeah, like I said, you just get so consumed with what everybody's doing in their lives and you forget about you. And once you start focusing on you, man, life changes. And it's like I'm seeing the more that I love myself, the more that I grow into becoming really authentic and being the best version of myself. It has a ripple effect, and people feel that energy. People, you attract people that are also vibrating on your frequency. And that is just incredible, because some of the people that I've met because of everything that I'm doing is just mind-blowing. Like, I'm so overwhelmed with my soul tribe, with people who I value, people who I turn to when I need to speak to someone, when I need to express myself. It's not the same people that I would have called 5 years ago. That's the truth. And I'm blessed. I'm so blessed, because the law of attraction, it's so true and it's so powerful. You really, really do connect differently when you raise your standards, when you raise your value, when you raise your vibration, and you just keep taking action and you just keep growing and pushing yourself further and further and further and doing things that, people may look at you and go, he's crazy. And if I'm crazy, then I can be me, and it's the best to be me. So just own that. Be authentic, and you'll give permission for other people to then be authentic as well, and it creates a ripple effect. But moving into this other section of my journey, which I want to share with you, because at first last year when I made this one decision, it was the decision. I came back from my grandmother's funeral, February 2018. At the time, I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment. I was selling cocaine. I was using it every day. I was drinking alcohol. I was working 2 jobs, probably like 15, 16 hours a day. And my social life was pretty busy too. So most of the time, Friday night, Saturday night, I'd have people over. And then sometimes I was that wrecked that I couldn't even get up on Sunday to go to work because I'd been drinking till 3 a.m. and, can't do it, right? And so then I'd continue on Sundays, I'd probably call someone over, or I'd have some stuff in my room and drink. Sometimes I'd have times where I'd just get some Coke and I'd drink by myself in the apartment, by myself all day. And then I'd be on the phone calling people and talking to them all day. And I want to be transparent. I want to be vulnerable because I want people to hear this, because this is what my life was like. That cocaine and alcohol mixed together, was like governing my life for so long. And it was a big part of my life. And I guess you can say, why did you do it? Why were you using it? What was so good about it that you were doing it for 5 or 6 years? And the simple answer there was, like I said before, I got bullied when I was younger. I was very skinny. I was very self-conscious about my body. I got called all these names, skinny, lanky, all that stuff. And so my self-esteem was very low. I had low self-confidence. And by drinking and by doing drugs, it allowed me to be confident. It gave me that confidence. It made me feel powerful, made me feel stronger. And as well as, going out to bars and clubs, it gave me that extra confidence to go and speak to girls, So that was a big major part of why I was always using it, because it allowed me to escape my reality of who I was, because I didn't love myself, because I didn't accept myself for who I am, because I was judging myself, and it is that comparison. You judge yourself. Your physical appearance is you're so connected with looking at yourself in the mirror and judging yourself according to what is the norm. What does society expect? How are you supposed to look? How big's your ass? How big your tits are? How tall you are, if you're short, if you're overweight, and social media plays a big negative part in that as well, unfortunately, because, there are so many supermodels and bodybuilders and all that kind of stuff that look so amazing. And when you see that shit and you don't have that body, you get discouraged. You feel negative about yourself. And so, you got to pull yourself up and go, hey, hang on a second, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and realize, man, no one has what I have. No one thinks like me. No one speaks like me. No one does what I do. And you got to start zoning in on you and loving you and owning you, because you're different, and that's what makes you perfect. And the moment that I started to do that, here I am. But yeah, that's one of the big things for me was the whole drugs and alcohol that really was consuming me. And living in this apartment last year, and when I came back from my grandmother's funeral, something happened and something just switched. There was like a light switch, or there was a knob, or there was something, or maybe it was just my grandmother's energy or soul that entered my body and said, Luke, it's time for you to wake up. It's time for you to transform your life. It's time for you to turn up your light so bright, not to blind people, but to show people the way. And I always knew that there was more to life than what I was doing. I knew that I wasn't a drug dealer. I knew that I wasn't going to succeed in life by using drugs and by continuing to get pissed every weekend and live that life. I knew there was more, but I just didn't know what it was. But after coming back from that funeral, I felt something, It was like my old version was dying. And, talking about dying, I'll just quickly touch on this suicide, I definitely have to admit that I did have these thoughts of suicide, and using drugs a lot definitely played a part in that. But I also never kind of did anything to hurt myself, but I also believed that I did feel these emotions. I did have this conversation of like, hey, why don't you just kill yourself? But I also believe that I never, ever, ever would have taken action on that. Like I just wouldn't. I would immediately like move forward into well, if I did that, imagine all the people that I would affect as well. That's another thing that went through my mind. But I felt at that point that my old version of myself was dying and this new version of myself was being born. And so automatically I came back from Poland and I was like, that's it. I'm moving to Poland. And one of my dreams was always to speak Polish fluently. And I can speak Polish. Jak się masz? Dobrze, dziękuję. I can speak Polish, but I never liked going to Polish school when my mum would take me every Saturday here in Sydney, in Ashfield. And it was annoying going to school Monday to Friday and then on Saturday have to go to Polish school. It was the worst. But I met some amazing people and I have some long life friends, that's for sure. But definitely a blessing to be able to speak Polish. But one thing for me, growing up with the whole culture and stuff in Australia, I always wanted to speak fluently. And so one of my dreams was, being very connected with the Polish culture, with Poland, and wanting to go and live there for at least 6 months or 12 months so that I could be fluent in speaking Polish. And so that was my next mission. I was like, you know what? I'm 33 years old. I'm going to move to Poland. What the hell am I waiting for? I got a Polish passport. There's no reason why I can't go. And so that was the mind shift of me changing. And so as soon as I made that one decision, it just catapulted. Next thought, next decision, next thought. And then, to put things in perspective for you, this is the journey of how I evolved. Was the next thing that I said was, I started talking to my friend and we were like, okay, what kind of jobs could we apply for? What kind of work could we do? And then at first it was like, we could be like a teacher. We could teach English in schools or, I don't know, work in a recruitment agency or something like that. But it was nothing that I was passionate about. It was just about getting a job and getting paid, because obviously if you're going to live there, you need to make money. And so from there, the next idea was, well, hang on a second, you know what? I've been working since I was 18 years old. And if I'm going to move to Poland, I want to do something that I love. Like, isn't that the dream? Isn't that the dream, to be able to wake up on a Monday morning and not feel like shit and go, man, I wish I could sleep another 3 hours. I don't want to go to work. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just wake up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. and go, yes, can't wait to get up and go to work? Wouldn't it be nice to not even think about retirement? Because that's what most of us do. We're thinking about long term. We're thinking about paying off the mortgage in 30 years. We're thinking about what the superannuation and how much superannuation we're going to have when we're 60, so that we've got enough money to cover our life when we get to that point when we can stop working so that we can chill. And that is majority of people of the mindset of how you're thinking. You're thinking about when you're going to turn 60 so you can get your 400,000 so you can live the next 25 of your life getting paid $250 a week or whatever from your pension. And I just look at that and I was just like, this is not my life. That's not what I want. I worked at the government job for 9.5 years. Did I love it? Absolutely not. Were there times where I enjoyed it? Absolutely yes. But it wasn't my passion. I didn't love it, right? And so as soon as I started to question myself, as soon as I started to say, okay, what do you love? That was really, really powerful, because I really started thinking about it. I was like, well, okay, what do you love? Well, what do I do? What do I do on a daily? I go to the gym. I like going to the gym. I like rapping. I like singing. Not to mention that I love talking. And I mean, even the cases of me, using, let's use the cocaine for example. How many times I was using cocaine, and for 7 hours straight, I'd be sitting there with a friend or whoever I was with, and you would just be yapping and yapping and yapping and yapping, and you'd be talking and talking and talking and talking. And that's like, you were fighting, you were having this argument with this person who was also, on this drug, and you were having these like communicative battles because you wanted to speak more than the other person. Like you wanted to get in while they were speaking. You're like, no, listen to me. And I remember it because that's what I used to do. And so there'll be nights where I would be just speaking for 7 hours straight. And like little did I know that, what I was actually doing was something that I really love, speaking and moving that into a positive impact, moving that into a thing that can make a difference in people's lives and inspire people and motivate people to live their best life, to be authentic, to empower them, to do what's right for you. And so that process of asking myself, what do I love, led to me saying that, you know what, I'm going to move to Poland and I'm going to open a gym. Because I was like, well, if I like going to the gym, it would be pretty cool if I could move to Poland and have a gym, and then it started the process. I started getting on YouTube. I wrote it in. I remember how to open a gym. And the first person that came up, and I'm going to meet him very, very soon, I know it, Mr. Bedros Keuilian. And he's an immigrant from Armenia, and he migrated to America, and he's got about 700 franchises of Fit Body Boot Camp. And I used to watch his videos every single day because I started researching how to open a gym. And so I was really passionate about it because I was so excited. I was like, yes, I'm going to save up $100,000, and next January 2019, I'm going to move to Poland and I'm going to open this gym. And so I was doing whatever I could to get as much information as possible so that I was ready and so that I could execute on this dream. And then what happened? As I kept learning, as I kept listening to these YouTube videos and watching it and thinking about it and contacting all these different franchises of F45 and Anytime Fitness and Fitness First and Orange Theory and all these fitness branches and franchises around the world, because I wanted to, obviously think that maybe I could get a franchise. But the next thing that happened was what changed my life. Are you ready? So the thing that happened with opening a gym was that I have always been afraid to stand up and speak to people. I've always been afraid of being seen. I've always been afraid of being heard. Standing up in front of a group of people and owning it. Public speaking. So I thought to myself, well, if you want to move to Poland, if you want to open a gym, that means you're going to have to be a fitness coach. That means you're going to have to be someone who delegates. That means you're going to have to get standing up in front of people, and you're going to be coaching people. You're going to be telling people what to do. And there's going to be 20 people sometimes, 30 people sometimes. Are you ready to do that? And I was like, whoa, hang on a second. I'm afraid to speak. I get nervous. I'm embarrassed. I don't believe in myself. I can't do that. And so the universe worked in just incredible ways of allowing me to connect with this online university called Mind Valley. And as I continued to watch my YouTube videos and Bedros Keuilian about how to open a gym, I then came across these motivational speakers. And then I started listening to that. And then from that, this ad came up for Mind Valley, and it was actually Christy Marie Sheldon, and it was something about unblocking your abundance blocks. And I was like, wow, this seems really interesting. And so I watched a webinar. And then after watching that webinar, I actually paid $1,000 to do this course because I was like, you know what? This seems like it's really going to help my life. It's really going to allow me to unblock any negativity or any self-doubt or anything within me that's been holding me and stopping me from moving forward in my life, from taking action. And so once I did that webinar, I was like, wow, this is what I'm going to do. And then from that, another ad came on YouTube, and it said, Lisa Nichols, speak and inspire. And I was like, oh, speak and inspire? What's that? But obviously the speaking was the thing that connected with me, because I knew, I was like, whoa, if you want to open a gym, bro, you're going to have to speak to people. You're going to have to stand up and present, and be present and delegate and communicate. And so I did this webinar, and the only thing that I could think of when I was doing this webinar, and get this right, because I was going to be a fitness coach or personal trainer, I'd already enrolled in Fit College in Sydney to do a personal training course, which I'd paid $3,500 for, $3,500. And so here I was, like, just under the pump, and I was pushing myself to like really zone in on my mission and do exactly what was on my mind. And I was truly like just engulfed in all this like power of what I had in my mind and making it reality, because I was like, okay, if I'm going to open a gym, I want to go there. I want to have qualifications. I want to be ready. Right. And so then I watched this webinar with Lisa Nichols. And if you don't know who she is, then now you know her name. Go on YouTube and type in Lisa Nichols, and I guarantee you one of her videos you watch is going to transform your life. And so I did the webinar, Speak and Inspire. And the only thing that I could think of after it, because I knew the webinar's free, but then they're going to sell you into something else. They're going to sell you into a course, and the course is going to cost you some money. And so because I'd spent $3,500 on this, $1,000 on this, I was getting a bit low on cash. I was thinking, fuck, man, like, if this is going to be another $1,000, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. But I was so excited about this webinar and this course. And I was just praying. I was like, man, please, when I get to the bottom of this page, please do not be $1,000. And I got to the bottom of the page, and it said, we can do this special one-time price for $399. And it was probably US, but US and Australian, I know that it's a bit different, but I just saw the dollar sign, and I was like, $399. I was like, you know what? I'm in. And I bought it. And so that was last year in September. And I started the course on the 3rd of September 2018. And that Speak and Inspire course through Mind Valley University, which is an online self-education platform, absolutely transformed my life. And I won't go into too much of that course, but doing that course allowed me to grow. It allowed me to understand that I could build confidence. I never ever knew that I could build confidence. Again, repetition is the mother of skill. I did so many different videos on that during that month of that course that it really grew my confidence. It really grew my belief. The people that were supporting me was very empowering. And that was the start of me actually going, wow. Like, I'd created a Twitter account. My gym was going to be called Red Fit Pump. If you go on Twitter, you'll find it. It's still there, right? And I was full into it. I was like, yep, I'm opening a gym. And as soon as I found this drive and this passion for speaking and for inspiring and for showing up on social media and doing live videos and taking action in that way, it became an addiction. It became an addiction to start doing things that I was afraid of. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Fear is really just a made-up story about a future event that hasn't even happened yet. It's just an illusion. And yet, we allow that to stop us and to govern our life, and it governed my life for such a long time. But moving forward from that event, I got up and spoke a few more times. I was even so excited with my journey and with my confidence of growing that I even decided to buy a bass guitar, and I organized a little band for my brother-in-law's birthday, and I got my niece on the piano, my nephew on the drums, and I rapped. But after doing that, I was like, wow, if I can organize that, if I can sing in front of my family, then why don't I try and play an instrument? And so my mind was working overtime. And so there I went. I went and bought a bass guitar, and I started learning to play the bass guitar. And I played it for about a month, and then I let it go. Because I went to a couple of lessons. I paid the couple of lessons. I learned how to play Ben E. King's "Stand By Me." Dun, 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 dun. I learned how to play it. I did, but I found after a month that wasn't my passion. It wasn't truly something that I loved doing, and so I let that bass guitar go. I don't know where it is now, but yeah, my mind started to work overtime with the possibilities of who I was, and starting to try different things that I never ever thought possible, and so from that point on as well, what I started to do as soon as I started getting into the whole motivation and YouTube videos and stuff is I found a man on YouTube by the name of Les Brown. And if you haven't heard of Les Brown, check him out. He is on YouTube. He's a motivational speaker, probably one of the best in the world. And what would happen for me from mid-September all the way till the end of 2018, as I would get up and I was still working my 2 jobs, and I would be getting up at 4:30 in the morning. I'd be speaking to myself in the mirror, and then I'd be going into my car. And as he says, the first 20 minutes of your day is when your mind is most impressionable, and what you listen to in the first 20 minutes of your day, really affects the spirit of your day. And so as soon as I would get in the car for the first 20 minutes, not for the first 20 minutes, just as soon as I would get in the car, every single day, every single moment that I did not have somebody in the car, I was listening to Mr. Les Brown. From September till end of 2018, that's all I was listening to, his voice and his motivation. And I say it, motivation is like bathing, like having a shower, like cleaning yourself. You can't just do it once and it's going to support you for the rest of your life. You have to do it every day. And so I was listening to Les Brown. I still listen to him sometimes, but I became addicted to the whole motivational side. And I just, the hardest thing for me was that, like I told you before, I didn't like studying. I didn't like reading. I was confused with how I learn and why I wasn't connecting with studying. But the whole this process of sitting in a car and listening to motivational speakers speak, that's where I found the passion. And I was like, wow, I'm learning something. I'm consuming that information. It's working for me. And then I just realized, well, you know what? Repetition is the mother of skill. If you keep repeating something over and over and over and over and over and over again, it's gonna sink in. You're gonna get better at it. You're gonna consume more. And it's the same thing with me doing the podcast. This is my 3rd podcast, right? And the more that I continue to do it, the more confident, the more comfortable I feel with it, the more that I own it, the more that I'm in the zone and like I'm unstoppable, And so that was definitely that major part in my transformation leading up to the end of December. A couple of times I got up in front of family at their houses and I spoke again and I shared my story. I shared what I'd done and I told them that this is my passion and I'm really driven. And at the time, people were inspired, but, I could tell that some people didn't really connect and believe with what I was doing, but they did feel inspired. But it was still so far-fetched for me to be standing up in front of my family and saying that I am going to move to Poland and I am going to sell out the Stadion Narodowy, which is the main stadium in Poland, in Warsaw, and I'm going to sell that stadium out and I'm going to speak there. Because that's so far-fetched. It's a long shot. For me to say, when you're coming from a position of nothing, where you've got nothing, you started from nothing, and you're starting to grow and you're starting to believe in yourself, it's very difficult for you to speak with those kind of big dreams, and for people around you who have never seen you do anything like that before to actually come on and go, yep, we believe you. We can see that you're going to do that. Like, even if they said they believe you, they probably don't, because they just want to make you feel happy and they want to support you. You know what I mean? And so, as you can see, it's 12 months ago now that I did that speaking course, but it was February last year, 2018. So it's like 18 months now. Yeah, about 18, 19 months in to my evolution, and I haven't given up. I'm learning more about myself. I'm becoming more self-aware. I'm on this path of self-discovery. I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I am as much of a teacher as I am a student. And I love connecting with like-minded individuals. I love connecting with people who are smarter than me. I love connecting with people who are 5 or 10 years ahead of me, because you never want to be the smartest person in the room. Because what happens if you're the smartest person in the room? If you're the smartest person, you can't learn shit, because you're the smartest person. So you surround yourself with people who are 5 years ahead of you, 10 years ahead of you. You go to conferences, you go to places where it's learning about yourself and investing in yourself and self-development and mindset, understanding your state of consciousness, understanding your belief of who you are and what you can actually achieve in your life, and understanding your paradigm of your habitual behavior, of what you are doing on a daily basis that is manifesting your reality. And once you actually start to become self-aware of that and understand your power, your life will transform. But it's just really about your state of consciousness and getting rid and changing your paradigm, getting rid of that. You're not going to get rid of that subconscious mind, but you can reprogram it. And that's where I'm at right now as I grow, as I evolve, and I'm in a state of transformation. I'm in a state of reprogramming my subconscious, because my conscious is there, because my conscious is me right now speaking. I can think of something, I can say it. But my subconscious, from all my experiences in my life, from everything that I've been through, right? There's a lot of limiting beliefs. There's a lot of negative thoughts. There's a lot of self-doubt. There's a lot of conversations going on in there. You're not good enough. You can't do this. You're afraid. That's unknown territory. You can't do that. And so the moment that I became aware of that was the moment that I realized that I was the captain of my destiny. And it is such a beautiful and abundant feeling to wake up, understand gratitude, know that you are blessed, and be doing something that I love and chasing my dreams because they know the way. And moving forward from that, I would like to share with you that love is the key and love will set you free. And if you really, really love yourself, everything around you will change. And it's something that I was never taught. It's something that was never explained to me as a kid. I didn't even know that you could love yourself. I was always out there searching. I was always out there trying to get somebody to be with me so that I felt complete. And a lot of times we hear that slogan where it's like, or if someone's getting married, they're like, oh my God, you complete me. And that kind of doesn't make sense to me, And so I can tell you now that I complete me. And if I'm going to meet someone, I'm going to make sure that she's whole, because I'm whole. And when you're both whole, that's where the magic is. Because it doesn't make sense. Like, how can you be with someone and you're not complete, and you need someone else to make you happy? You need someone else to fill your cup. You need someone else to give you that love. And when you're full of love and the other person's full of love, man, that's amazing. That's powerful. And that's something that I've never experienced before. So I'm really excited for that, but I'm not worried about that at the moment. Relationships for me, with my path, with my journey, with what I'm doing, I'm so, trusting the process, and I've watched myself grow and evolve and become who I am and where I'm going, that, being in a relationship right now is not for me, But I don't actually stop and go, well, what if you meet someone that you really connect with and that, is vibrating on your frequency, blah, blah, blah. Hey, if that happens, it happens. But right now with my mindset, with understanding my self-reflection of everything that I've done to get me to where I'm at right now, I can see the next 5 years, and that's why I love talking. I saw that quote that I have on my Facebook, and it says, I don't even think about retirement, because when you do what you love, why would you want to retire? I think about 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead, focusing and working on my dreams, sacrificing continuously so that then for the rest of my life, I don't have to worry about retirement. I can live in abundance. I can live in fulfillment. I can live in satisfaction. I can live with receiving admiration for the work that I do from millions of people around the world. I can travel the world and I can do what I love. And it's truly, truly a blessing, but you have to have a burning desire. You have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone. You have to be willing to push yourself, and you have to really, really, really believe in yourself, because it's tough. It is tough. It's very, very hard, but having the right people around you that understand you is paramount. You are a product of your environment, and if you don't like the product that you are, then you really need to change your environment. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends. You may inspire someone. You may change someone's life. You may save someone from killing themselves. Who knows? Maybe someone's suicidal when they hear this story and they're like, you know what? If he can do that, I can do that too. Leave a comment below. I would love to hear from you. I would love to, see what I can do better. If you have any questions, please comment below wherever you're listening to this. And I'm so blessed to be able to speak and do this. It's such an honor. And wherever you are around the world, I hope that you're having an amazing day. This is Luke Mind Power signing off episode 3. I will talk to you very, very soon. Check out my TikTok account. I'm on TikTok doing some funny videos there. Facebook. I'm on Spotify, SoundCloud, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. I'm all over the place. I'm on YouTube, and this is what it is to be hustling and motivating on the daily. Peace and much love.